Okay, I have the problems that I put together for you as a review for the exam. And what I'm going to do is just go over some of the questions with you and show you the things that you want to be careful of, okay? I also have solutions on here, so I'll upload this. But in the beginning, these first questions, these are just like theory questions. The balance sheet of a service company. Okay, so here you want to know the difference between merchandising, service, and manufacturing. Okay, so a service company would have no inventory. Okay, it's more like supplies. It's not, inventory is something held for sale. So little or no. American Eagle Outfitters classifies denim jeans on the shelves as, so denim jeans on the shelves, this would be a merchandiser, and it would be merchandise inventory. Okay, but they didn't manufacture these. What they did was they bought them finished and then they sell them. Okay, and then I've got a note here, just a note to do a quick value chain review. Just take a look at it, okay, and get it close in your head. Which element of the value chain would a technical support hotline for customers be considered? That would be customer service. Okay, and that makes sense. It wouldn't be design, it wouldn't be distribution, and it's not marketing. So customer service is your best answer there. And then on this, place the letter value chain activity. So depreciation expense on equipment in the factory would be production. Delivery expense would be distribution. Toll-free line for customer orders, I think that's a tricky one. That would be marketing, I guess, because it helps bring customers in. That's the idea. Customer support hotline, customer service for sure. Assembly line workers' wages, that would be production. Okay? Then classify each one of these into, let me change the pages. Classify each one of these into the following business costs into one of the 6 value chain elements. I mean, I've got a lot of questions in here, and they're here mostly just for practice for you, okay? So don't get spooked by it, but I thought it was a sort of a good way to learn. So it was one of the 6 elements. So a commercial, okay, a commercial is marketing. Shipping goods to customers, distribution. Repairing products under warranty, that's customer service. Developing a new product, that's research and development. Making a prototype of a new product. That would be design. Cost of labor for a machine operator, that's production. Okay? Total cost of a cost object can only include direct costs. That's false. We know that it includes indirect costs like manufacturing overhead. Salesperson's salary would be classified as a period cost. Okay? When you're talking about cost of goods manufactured. Which of the following is an example of an indirect labor in a manufacturing plant? Okay, a manufacturing plant, okay? So not the CFO. Machine operator would be direct. Salesperson is not even a product cost, it's a period cost. And the plant manager, however, it would be a production cost, but not traceable to a product. So that's your best answer there, okay? That would be indirect labor. Which of the following are classified as manufacturing overhead? Okay, indirect labor and indirect materials for sure. Okay, that's your answer right there. Direct labor, direct materials, no. All materials, no, because indirect or direct are in there. Factory rent and direct labor, those are both MOH. Oh, wait a minute. Factory rent and direct labor would not be. Okay, so A is your answer. And then there are a bunch of these, and I think they're good practice, and by the time you do a bunch of them, you get pretty good at it, you know what I mean? Hold a second. Oh, well. Okay, so the first question is prime costs. So prime are going to be direct material and direct labor. So that would be the fabric. This is an upholstery furniture manufacturer, so that would be the fabric used to manufacture it and freight in. That's the trick right there. Okay, freight in on raw materials. That, as far as we're concerned, is part of the cost of the goods in. So that would be a direct material cost. Wages paid to assembly line workers, they're saying the assembly line is per unit. So that would be a direct labor cost. And then lumber used to build the product, that would also be direct material. Okay, but this was the tricky one to watch out for here. The next one is direct material, and again, direct material would be the fabric used, the freight in on the raw materials, and the lumber. Okay, that would be your direct materials. And then this one has product costs. I think that's a tough one, because the tricky part about these problems is if you get one thing wrong, you've missed the question. Okay, so we're looking at product costs. Sales office, no. Factory equipment, yes. Factory supervisor, yes. Sales commissions, no. Factory equipment, factory insurance, wages paid to maintenance workers. I would feel better if this said factory maintenance. But why don't you just get used to it that maintenance workers would be indirect labor that would be in the plant. Fabric is product. Freight in on raw materials. Again, this is here. Okay, that's not a period cost, that's a product cost. It's everything it takes to get an asset in service and ready for use. So that's how that ends up there. But delivery cost, that is not part of the cost of the product. Okay, that's not a production cost, so this would be actually a selling expense. Or distribution, however, whatever you want to call it. So wages paid to assembly line, that's direct labor. Lumber used, direct material, utilities in the factory. Okay, so all of those would be product costs. All right, so go slowly if you've got something like this. So you don't want to lose the question, but you've got to be careful. And here's another one. These are conversion costs. So if it's conversion, we're looking at direct labor plus manufacturing overhead. That's what we want, right? So get it straight in your head. So we've got wages, this is overhead. Fabric, no, that's material. Assembly line workers, direct labor. Insurance for the factory. Freight in, that's material. Okay, don't forget that's a material cost, so it wouldn't be there. Utilities in the factory, that's overhead. Factory supervisors, overhead. Factory equipment depreciation, that's overhead. And finally, lubricants in the factory. Now these are sales office, delivery service, depreciation in the sales office. These would all be period costs. Okay, so your answer is here someplace, 234.7, yeah, or 274.3, close. Okay, I don't want this thing to be too long, so I'm going maybe kind of fast on it. But here's another good problem. These are, assume we're looking for direct materials, period costs, overhead, or direct labor. Rent expense on the factory, overhead. Sales supplies, period costs. Factory supplies used, MOH. Indirect material, MOH. Assembly line people, direct labor. Primary material, direct material. Depreciation expense is a period cost. Rent expense is a period cost. Insurance expired on factory equipment would be MOH. And when they say expired, what they're really talking about here, this just means that it's an expense. Okay, that's just, expired is another word for expense. Period costs, utilities in the office. Advertising is a period cost, and finally taxes paid on the factory building. Okay, this would be MOH. Okay, and here's another one, period costs. Okay, so you got to switch your head around here and not use anything that has to do with the product. So we've got, here's depreciation in the sales office, excuse me, sales commissions, cost of delivery to customers, that would be, what else do we have here? Utilities in the sales office. But the rest of them are all factory type costs. Okay, it would not be period costs. Excuse me. And here's another, these are all product costs again. So it's everything but shipping to customers, lighting costs for the sales office supplies for the sales office, salaries of salespeople. Everything else here is a product cost. Okay, so take a look at those and make sure that you're straight on it. And I believe the only way to learn is to do these without looking at the answers, and then look at the answers and see what you've got. But it would make the most sense to really test yourself on this. Okay, this is Happy Feet. Again, another overhead cost. So the overheads are all highlighted here. You guys can look at this. I don't have anything to add to it, I don't think. So the first thing you're doing is separating product costs from period costs, and then you want to exclude direct labor and direct material. Okay? And this is another product period cost. There's lots and lots of practice here. By the time you're finished, you should be really excellent at it. Okay? So these are all product and period costs. And you can look at this. You don't need me to say this. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these here. All right, now these are some of the calculations. These are the ones I wanted to get to. This first one, direct materials for the company are overhead is this, direct labor is that. What are the prime costs? So prime costs are direct material plus direct labor. Okay, and their total is the 1271. It's B. Okay. Here's another one. What are the company's period costs? The period costs would be everything but purchases. Okay, so, oh, wait a minute. What are the company's period? Yeah, they would be. Okay, purchases you think of it as part of cost of goods sold, as that's separate, and a merchandiser, because this is a clothing retailer, so that purchases are actually part of cost of goods sold. Okay, or your inventory is part of let's say inventory or cost of goods sold. You follow me? But everything else here then would be a period cost. Okay, now here's fruity beverage. Let's see. Cost of goods available for sale, and they give you more information here than you need. So goods available for sale are in finished goods, and this is a beverage company. Okay, so we've got a beginning inventory at 12.4 plus purchases. They gave us the number 149 would give us goods available for sale. Okay, 153.3, that's all we need. Okay, and it's the whole debit side of that finished goods inventory T account. Okay, now here, this is a good one. This is a tennis and recreations operating activities, and they've got there's a little bit of information here, and they're asking you for gross profit. So gross profit is going to be sales less cost of goods sold is gross profit. Okay, this is what we're looking for. But what we have to calculate is cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold would be our beginning inventory at 27.2 plus purchases 170.49 minus ending inventory is cost of goods sold 165.1. Okay, so you understand the point here. This is the formula. This is where you have to end up. But this cost of goods sold is unknown. So you've got to go back and you have to calculate cost of goods sold. Okay? Alrighty. So let's keep going here. This is another one that is another cost of goods sold one, but here we've got finished goods inventory. There's work in process, but they give us finished goods inventory beginning and ending and cost of goods manufactured. So in that finished goods T account, we've got our beginning balance. They tell us it's 0. Cost of goods manufactured is 42.3, so that's what's available. Ending finished goods is 20,000, so cost of goods sold, what came out, would be 22,300. Okay? I don't know what this is. 85.4. I don't know. 85.4. I don't know what they're doing here. But this is the way I would do it. I'd probably do a T account on it, but I can think like this too. So now here's a nice one. This one's asking for operating income. So you got a little bit of information here, but you've got a lot that you've got to figure out. So they give us sales revenue. Sales revenue is the 2,000,002. They gave us cost of goods sold is 1,050, so gross margin is 1,212. And then they gave us a bunch of expenses. Wait, before we do that, look at here. They gave you purchases of 952, but that purchases would be beginning inventory, ending inventory, and purchases. That would all be part of cost of goods sold. So they gave you that number, so you don't need these right here. Oops, you really don't need them. You follow me? You've already got it, so you wouldn't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to cross those out. You don't need this one. and you don't need purchases. Okay? Because you've already got it, let's see, it's all included in your cost of goods sold, okay? So then the other expenses we have are selling and admin, salary and wage, rent and utilities. Okay, that gave us total operating expense. And then, this is where I see all the mistakes. Then you got to settle down and think that gross margin minus my operating expenses is net income. Okay, so 7099 is your answer here. Okay. Then we've got another one here. We're almost there. I know this is long. This is Zoolander, and they ask for cost of goods manufactured. So I just did the formula here. It came right off this data. But first of all, you've got to figure out your raw material inventory. So that was 55.4. Then cost of goods manufactured will be beginning work in process plus raw material used, direct labor, and overhead. Okay, and I think the overhead we had to add up in here. That gave us, I took a subtotal, then subtracted ending work in process, and that's my cost of goods manufactured. So it's actually straightforward, This one, make sure that you do this problem. This one isn't, Orlando's a little bit more difficult, and this isn't hard, but it's a good way to make sure that you've got all these relationships in your head. So, like for this first one, we've got to, they gave us a lot of data. The first one they gave us operating income and gross margin. Okay, so my selling and administrative expenses would be the difference between these two. They gave us this. Actually, they gave us all this, right? And they gave us purchases and freight in. Okay, so this must be 185 minus 32,000. Okay, then we see the cost of goods sold is 115. So where am I here? There's ending inventory. This is cost of goods sold. 105 is ending inventory. We've got purchases of 119. So goods available for sale had to be 120. Okay, 120 minus the 119 in purchases would give us, I think beginning inventory, is what we're looking for. Okay, so these are good problems. They give you a way to do it here, but you're better off to really, instead of looking at this, I would just logically go through this and make sure that I could determine what those numbers were. Okay, we're getting there. This is a nice income statement. I didn't redo this. This is the answer that's there in the key. It's perfect. But sales revenue less cost of goods sold, they didn't give us cost of goods sold. So you've got to take your beginning inventory plus purchases as goods available minus ending cost of goods sold. Okay? Gives us gross profit less selling and administrative expenses, operating income. Okay? Custom order products would be a job costing system. The ones that would use, which of the following would be most likely to use job order? Not chemicals, that's big vats of stuff. Probably not food and beverage. Pharmaceuticals even, I mean they make pills by the millions. So the answer here is C, commercial building construction. Okay. Job order might be used by a hospital. Not water bottling, not balloon manufacture, and not saltine crackers. If this doesn't make sense to you, let me know, okay? But the hospital would be, for example, let's say that you had a big job to do on somebody. Well, even just the cost of fixing a broken leg. Okay, that would be a job. That's what it would be. And then state whether each company below would be more likely to use job costing or process costing. And this is straightforward too. So soft drink is process, yacht builder's job, hospital's job, printing firm is a job. And I can see you being kind of wondering about this one. Like if they do custom printing, but you would still do it by job. All right, it wouldn't be process costing. Yeah, it'd still be by job. Key to allocating indirect manufacturing is to identify an appropriate allocation base. That's true. Predetermined overhead rate, that's not right. This is what do they multiplying the total estimated overhead cost? Okay, not multiplying. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, you wouldn't multiply it. You divide the cost by the total estimated amount of the allocation base. The assigning overhead cost is called cost allocation. All right, typical manufacturing overhead cost would be not direct depreciation on the plant for sure. It's got to be it. That's direct, and this is just a total. That's a mathematical conjecture, okay? Almost there. These two are a little bit more difficult. This one was, so make sure that you can do it. I mean, it's a good one to understand. But they gave us some data up here, and what I did was I put it into a T account. So here's my beginning work in process plus direct material. What did they say then? The cost of goods manufactured was 320. So if my ending work in process is 105 and COGM is 320, then this had to be 425. So then we know that direct material plus direct labor equals the difference between 425 minus 109 plus 73. Okay, so 242.6, that's what it has to be. So that 242.6 is 1 DL plus 0.6 DL. They say that manufacturing overhead is allocated at 60% of direct labor. So I took the total overhead and divided it by 1.6, and that gave me 151,625. Okay. And here's an inventory. What was the beginning raw material inventory? What did they give us? So requisitions were 44.6. We don't care what was direct, okay? This is raw material inventory, so that's everything that came out. Purchases were 58.7, and the ending balance is 25,000. So if that's 25,000, then this is 44.6 because that's our requisition. So this must have been 69.6. Okay? And if purchases were 58.7, then beginning balance of this must be 10.9. I would not do this problem this way, okay? I would definitely make a T account and make sure that I was straight. Okay, we're at 22 minutes here, new record. What's this here? Oh, this is just using your predetermined overhead rate, so that would be the estimated overhead divided by the estimated machine hours. Okay, that's the point. Same thing here. Estimated overhead divided by estimated direct labor dollars. Okay, so that rate would be 78%. Okay, oh God, is it gonna, yeah, this is the last one. So now, manufactures custom molds for use in extrusion. The company allocates overhead based on machine hours, and this is our data. We've got the predetermined rate is $17, and the actual machine hours used, the real machine hours used, are 290. So 290 times 17 would be our overhead, and then we'd add direct materials and direct labor. Okay, so that's a walkthrough of it. If any of this doesn't make any sense, just send me a message, let me know. But you can stop and work these problems yourself, don't forget. And then the other thing is that you can use the same list of topics that's in the exam folder. Okay? And I'll put this video also in the exam folder along with the solution. Okay. Have a nice Sunday.